Hello students and welcome back. We'll be working on installing floors in our Revit model. So your Revit model at this point should look something like this. All right. If you don't have your window mullions or doors here placed, please do not worry. I'm just a step ahead there, so please do not worry about that at all. But if I go into 3D view, do you notice how I have both of my levels here? But if I look inside, I'm missing my floors. Okay, so I have my levels and my grid shown just like that. So let's fix that. And luckily, this is a very easy process, and I'll walk you through everything. Just one thing I want to note is that our first floor, that floor type, will be called concrete 10 inches, and then our second floor will be called wood joist 10 inches wood finish. And I'll help you through all of that. But first and foremost, let's get into a working view. We've been working on this all semester, so as a friendly reminder, let's create a working view. You would go up to View, and then after you get to View, you would go to your section that says Plan Views, and then hit Floor Plan. And you likely already have a duplicate of your first and second floors, which is fine. But we want to create more duplicates, so hit Do Not Duplicate. And then I would simply click here, First Floor, and then I would name that appropriately to whatever I want. And then I'm actually just going to delete that because I have my working views already. So please go ahead and do that for both floors 1 and 2 if you haven't done so at this time. All right? Okay, so the first thing that I want to do here is I want to create a concrete slab to sit my building on. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to Architecture, and then there's a little button called Floors. You could click down here and get more options. However, I would encourage you to click this right here that says Floor. Oh, oops, I'm going to go back. Just go to Architecture, Floor, and click this button instead of this drop-down list. So click this button here, and you can see I have Concrete 10 right here. So do you see how I went under Properties? Let me do that one more time. Yep. And we'll get into what those little buttons mean. So Architecture, Floor, okay, and then I select Concrete 10. And then do you see here, right now, do you see how this is like a turquoise color? And this is lit up turquoise. And this right here, we have these little buttons. So right now we're in what's called edit mode, okay? And this can be super tricky for new Revit learners. So just remember, when we're in edit mode, we can't go off and wander and do anything else. We can't wander off and fix an elevation or work on our grids. We are locked into working on floors, okay? Super important. And what I want to do here is I want to hit my rectangle, and I want to just kind of draw. We'll start from the stud, actually, the outside of the sheathing right here. You'll actually have a structural engineer that coordinates this, and I'll be honest, this isn't my forte. Actually, we'll start on the grid lines right there, okay? And then we'll go all the way over here to these grid lines to the outside of the stud, because that stud will sit on the slab. And it's okay if there's a few things that overhang off of the slab. That's just the name of the game. That's how it works. But starting at the edge of the stud is a good idea. And remember, this is the edge of the stud here. So think back to last week. We had our stud, then we have our sheathing or plywood. Both work. Okay, we have our rigid insulation and then our brick out here. Okay, and so for our first floor, we're going to the outside. And we need a platform, a slab that we can build on. I can't build this on mud, so I need to get a nice firm foundation for my building. And then remember these buttons. This happens to you, just hit escape. That happened to me. It wanted to create another. Just hit finish. Okay. And then watch this. I go back into 3D. Then do you see my little slab down here? Beautiful. It looks a little weird. Yes, there would be more details. We would have a structural engineer. We'd have some more foundation walls and all of that. However, us architects, we don't really deal with that. So that would be a structural engineer that would come in and help inside of our model. That's a whole nother topic for another day. And then I want to go to my second floor working. And let's go ahead and let's make our new floor, okay? And so for this right here, what we'll do is we'll go back to floor. Remember that button we pushed earlier? And then I need a different floor type. I need wood joist, 10-inch, wood finish. So I look for wood joist, 10-inch, wood finish. And then I come in here again with my rectangle. And remember, this time we're going to the inside of the stud. So important, inside of the stud, all right? Because if we do outside, you'll see it from the outside of the building. And this is a second floor, all right? It's inside the building. And then I just hit there, and I touch my studs. And remember, This is gypsum board on the inside, and that's our wood stud. And then I click OK, right? And this may happen to you. Do you notice? I'll go back into 3D view. How it says height offset from level, -6. Revit is silly and it likes to do this. Just change that to 0 and hit enter. And then let's double check down here. Okay, it did that and we may want that. So let's just take another look. Okay, so what I want to do is I actually want to go into my elevation and let's just take a peek. Let's see what's going on here. And I'm actually just going to delete my wall for now. Okay, do you see how nice that looks? That lines up. And then let me just go back to 3D view and I can see if it offset that. Yep, it went down. I don't need it to go down. 0 is great. Revit can just be a little silly and thinks it's being helpful. But you can see here that that looks great. Okay, just ignore this. I prettied this up with extra annotations. I'm a little further than you are in class. But that's how you add floors. It's very basic. And one piece of advice I want to leave you with is when you're in 3D, click that and make sure that your level, it's on the correct level. Okay? If you have any issues, go ahead and shoot me a message, and I'll see you in the next one.